Video will be for your 8th grade name tag. It's going to be a little bit more of a complicated version than the one that 7th grade is doing this year, and I think it'll be a really good leeway into some future projects, such as the low poly portrait that we'll be doing later this year. Here's an example of a finished result. There can be a lot of different variables in here between shape, size, dimension, color. The only thing that's going to run standard for everybody is going to be the font type, and that's just due to making sure that it's legible and fits a name tag well. Keep in mind that this will be posted and displayed alongside every artwork that you exhibit this year. So let that guide your decision making today. We're going to be doing this in Adobe Illustrator. I already have the software open up, but just to show you what it looks like down at the bottom taskbar, it has a burnt sienna looking orangish logo. If you cannot find it on your MacBook, please press the F4 key at the top of your keyboard, not the 4, but above it, F4. That will give you a search feature to all your applications, in which you can just type in Illustrator and you'll see it right there. Once it's open up, you need to go to File and then New right here. We're going to be creating a new document, and file size is of the most importance. When you get to File, New Document, your window obviously will look a little different when you open up Illustrator, but once you get to this part, it all should look the same. I want you to look over here on the right under Preset Details. That's the only part that matters in this window. A couple things that we want to change. Just in case yours is set to pixels or points, click this drop down arrow right here and change it to inches. The width, whatever it was, please change it to 7. You can just type in 7 for right now. It'll autocorrect to adding the IN. The height, I want you to change it to 5. Where it says Untitled 1 right here in the top, highlight that, select it all. Type your first name, your last name, and then the words name tag. This is going to be super handy because later today when we go and save your file, then it'll automatically prompt you to save it as this, saving some time later. All the advanced options down below should be correct. Color mode should be CMYK, which stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, which is great because we will be printing these, and those 4 colors are the colors of ink in a printer. Raster effects, by default, should be 300 pixels per inch, PPI. If it's not, change that. Preview mode default is fine. You can go then ahead and hit create. All right. The only reason that this looks a little bit different from my first one, where I'm clicking on these tabs up here, is that I'm just zoomed in more. You can see down here in the bottom left of Illustrator, it has a zoom percentage. Right now it says 106.62. This one is 66.67. So to zoom in and out, while there is a zoom tool, I don't recommend it. There's a much faster way. On your keyboard, to the left of the shift bar, or to the right, is Command. If you hold down Command and you hit minus, it will zoom you out. If you hold down Command and hit plus, it will zoom you in. And it'll change this percentage. Alternatively, you could type in an exact percent and then hit enter, and you'll go right there. That's much better than taking the zoom tool here and then clicking plus or minus in the zoom tool feature. It's just not super worth it, in my opinion. Another thing that you might want to really know for Illustrator is that anything inside this white rectangle, that's our canvas, is going to print. You can work in these gray areas over here, but only you, the designer, will see it. To get a better view of your workspace but not print space, if you take 2 fingers on the trackpad, don't click with them, but just swipe with 2 fingers at the same time, you will notice that your rectangle will move around, and then you will get more workspace over here. So if you ever see me shifting like this, but you don't see me hitting a button, note that I am doing that. All right. Now that we have that, 66.67 is exactly where I really want it for zoomed for right now anyway. So we can really actually get started. The tool that we're going to be using first in making this design is going to be the Ellipses tool. It's right here. If I click and hold down, you'll see that there's a few options within this tool. By default, it comes up as the rectangle tool, but click and hold and you'll see ellipses. Ellipses is kind of like an oval. You'll notice here it has a parentheses with L. That is the hotkey for this, meaning that you could literally just hit L on your keyboard and it will auto-select that tool. Here, watch. I'm going to go click off. I'll hit L, and you'll see that it goes right to ellipses. Hotkeys are super important and they will save you a lot of time this year. So something that you might want to remember. We will be using the ellipses a good bit in this project, maybe in other future ones as well. So what the ellipses tool does, once you have it selected, click and drag and you'll see that you can make an oval or an ellipses. But I want you to make perfect circles, and that's going to be pretty hard to do, right, when it's all freeform like this. As you're clicking and dragging, hold down the shift key and you'll notice that it keeps it in proportion. So I'm going to hold shift and click and make a circle of any size that you want. It does not have to be this big. You'll see that we'll change it up as we go. Pick another spot, continue to hold shift, make another circle, and then we'll make one all the way out here, kind of medium size. Again, don't be alarmed if it goes out of the thing. We can always fit it back in later. And I'll make one right here of really small stature and another medium-sized one over here. So shoot for about 5 circles, kind of plop them around. Do note that we will be connecting them together into kind of like a blob shape, like in my finished version right here. So FYI. Once you have them all together, we're going to take a new tool, the pen tool. And this is why I wanted to choose this project for your name tag, is that the upcoming low poly project, you're going to be very familiar with the pen tool before you leave that project. It's located right here on your toolbar. The hotkey for it is P, as in pen, which is an easier one to memorize in my opinion. With the pen tool, you'll notice up here where it says stroke, 1 point. That's good. You could drop down arrow that and make it a lot thicker, but 1 right now will serve us perfectly. We'll get more into these later, but for this name tag project, it does not matter super much. Starting on the top left of your top left circle, go somewhere in the range where these two can kind of connect, right about here. You want to make sure that it says path. That way you know that you're starting this line on the circle itself. Go ahead and click. You'll see that it put a little like branching point. And now if you move your mouse, it'll make a straight line from point A to point B, wherever you click for point B. When you go ahead and click point B, click and hold. And you'll notice that if you stretch one way or the other, you'll see that the line bends from the 2 points. These little like blue dots that you're seeing appear here will help guide the next 2 points, or even this one as well, this line that we're making. Give it a little bit of a bend though. We're trying to make a little bit more of an amorphic shape here, and then let go. You can see now that we got this bend. Now if I wanted to continue, you can see that it's kind of like pivoting or bouncing off of this previous line, which is going to give a lot of difficulty when trying to connect over to this circle here on the far right. So what I need to do is I need to go back to that square. It's called an anchor point. An anchor point is going to be anywhere you click in Photoshop with the pen tool. Go back to it, hold down Shift, and click on it. That will reset the anchor point. You see here it deleted one of your 2 handles, which gives us a much more streamlined connection to the following circle. Before we go all the way over here, however, just simply click somewhere else on the other side of the circle to jut through, if you will. Then we're kind of back to normal. So now I can map it out. Again, I want to make sure that I'm on the path of this circle over here. I'm going to go about here, click and hold, bend a little bit so I get a dynamic line, and let go. Now my shape has kind of continued along this path. I'm going to hold Shift to reset. I'm going to go down here to the other side of this circle, click and hold, or I'm sorry, not click and hold, just click. Go to the next circle, now click and hold, stretch to get a, cool looking shape, whatever that may be. Go back to the anchor point, hold Shift, click, go through the circle, click, and then we are at another bendy, so I'm going to click and hold to bend this one. Click, click, one last bend. Trying to make it look, pretty nice here. I'm happy with that. Now, again, hold Shift because again we want to dial back to the anchor point. And here's the big thing to learn with this, that take some time to practice this part. When you get up, or when you're done, you've completed it, you want to go back to the original anchor point to close the loop of this shape. This is going to, if you understand this now, you're going to have a really easy time with low poly, because that's 90% of what low poly is. So see, when I go back to the original click, the original anchor point, you'll notice that below my pen tool, to the bottom right of it, you're going to see a little circle. That kind of signifies to you that you have closed the loop, completing a shape with the pen tool. So make sure that you have this. I'm going to give everybody a lot of time to do this, so don't worry if it doesn't go super well first or second time. Once you do, though, I'm going to continue on in the video now. You're going to want to go up to the top left tool, the selection tool, right here. And we want to select everything, the circles and also the pen tool line that we made. So just click and drag with this, and it'll grab everything in here. We need to make this one object, or unify it. That's located in this window here called the Pathfinder window that I have. I don't know if it's going to be over there for you or not. I believe it is by default, but just in case it's not, up in the top of your Illustrator window or Mac window, you're going to see File, Edit, Object, etc. Go all the way over to Window, and then Pathfinder should be down here towards the bottom. If it's not, simply scroll down. A way to scroll, just like scrolling around the canvas earlier, is lay 2 fingers on the trackpad and swipe down a little bit, and then you'll find Pathfinder right there. That will open the window just like it did down below when I clicked on it. Under shape modes, the top left thing right here is Unite. That will make this one shape rather than the line work that we did plus the 5 circles. I just want it to be one thing. So I'm going to hit Unite. And you'll notice that all the circles kind of goes away and it stays in this blob-like shape. So I can close my Pathfinder window just by clicking back on that. And then this is set, at least for now anyway. What I want to do before we really carry on with this is I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. And the way to shrink this is by taking one of these corner pockets when you have the selection tool and just clicking and dragging. But just like the circle, it can really warp the shape. So hold Shift when you click and drag it, and that way it'll keep it in perspective or scale to what you had it as. I'm going to go ahead and drag it off to the side here, so that way I know that I have it for later. We need to make a second one, entirely different from the first. So this will serve as fantastic review, and it'll also end the video for the day. We are going to go back to the Ellipses tool, and I'm going to click and hold with Shift. We'll put one up here. I'm going to go for a small one up here this time, and then we're going to go for a big boy here in the center. We'll change it up. We'll do a medium one here. Try to do something different than the one that you did prior. That way it'll give you, some leverage, some room to work with when overlapping these two later. So there are my 5 circles. I held Shift when I created them to make sure that they are perfect circles. The next tool I'm going to take is the pen tool up here, where you can just hit P for pen. And then I'm going to, again, start in the top left, click on the circle, and then move my path over here to where it intersects with the second circle, where it says path. Click and hold to, bend the line a little bit. Afterwards, once again, go back to that anchor point that I just clicked on, hit Shift to kind of reset the handles. Jut through this triangle or circle to get close to the next circle. Click again. And then choose where you want it to hit the next circle, maybe somewhere around here. We'll go pretty far. We'll go like right here. And bend it backwards a little bit to create a curve. Again, reset this anchor point by clicking Shift on it. Jut through the circle. I'm going to go this side actually, try something a little different here. And then click and hold on here to bend the path. Hold Shift to reset the triangle. Click through the circle. Click and hold again, bending the path. Go back here to reset, hold Shift. Click through. and click one final time, rotating it again, bending it again. Oh, we're not done yet. We have to hold shift on this one to reset that anchor point, and then click back onto the original one with that circle to make sure that it closes the loop. All right, that shape is complete. I'm going to go back up here to my selection tool. I'm going to click and drag and select everything on here. I'm going to go to the Pathfinder window down here, and I'm going to unite this shape. I'm going to close my Pathfinder window. I'm going to close that. We'll make this guy just a, a little bit smaller, and I'm going to shimmy him over here with my other guy. We can move him up. And that way, next class, we have both our shapes. If you have some extra time, you can make a couple backup shapes. Sometimes I've made two that just don't work together, and then I end up having to go back in and kind of like warp them a little bit. But right now, I'm pretty happy with these two, so we're going to save our file. To save our file, we're going to go up here to the top left of Illustrator where it says File, and then we're going to do Save As, because we haven't saved it yet. Normally you can just do save. Wait for it to go. Please choose your desktop for right now. You can move it later, but this way you know exactly where it's going. And you'll notice already it should come up as first name, last name, name tag .ai. That's perfect. AI stands for Adobe Illustrator. We'll be working with a bunch of different file types this year, but here's our first one. And then we're going to go down to the bottom right and hit save. This window here of just Illustrator options, everything that's default is fine, so you can just click OK. I'm going to minimize this just to double check that it appeared on my desktop. Here it is. It is just going to look like a white rectangle in the preview window because our shapes are off to the side, but now we know that we're good. So I can also then close Illustrator by clicking and holding on the Illustrator icon and then hit quit. That should force close the program. And then if it is the end of class, we want to log out. So you can click this Mac window at the top left of your computer and then log out. You'll see your name here. I won't be doing that today because I'm staying on my computer. But keep this file in a safe place, whether that be on your desktop or if you want to create a folder for it, feel free. And we will continue this project next class.